All right, who's ready to lose faith in humanity? Hi, my name is Sydney, welcome back to my channel. Truthfully, I don't really know where to start with this video, so I feel like the best course of action is just to jump right in with reckless abandon. It's absolutely no secret that I have a very strong dislike for third wave feminism. It gives me the heebie-jeebies. And that's mostly because their main talking points revolve around defeating our male overlords and the patriarchy, and letting women walk around topless or nude. Those are, in fact, feminist objectives. You can't tell me otherwise. Now, based on my humble observations, it seems that a lot of this feminist noise comes from academics screaming into the wind. Or for those of us who've been quite unfortunate, they scream at us in university classrooms so that we absorb it and then go out into society and scream at other people who are just trying to go about their lives. You see, it's a cycle of screaming.
The chain of screaming. Screaming? Yes.
Thank you, feminism, for your contribution to society.
I'm reading faith.
But every so often, absolutely insane feminist doctrine makes its way into the mainstream media. It's like a version of what's already in the mainstream media all the time, but just a little more insane. And what you're about to watch is one of those cases. The two segments I'm about to show you aired in Australia on the taxpayer-funded ABC, and fair warning, the waters are about to get very choppy. It's gonna be rough, it's gonna be choppy. The point is, if society is the ocean, then feminism is the white whale. Some feminists identify with that image more than words could ever say.
When trying to bring about significant change, when is aggression and violence a better option than assertiveness, strong arguments, and modelling the behaviour you expect of others?
Ashton? When none of that other stuff works. It's as simple as that? Yep.
Christ, Karen, put down the totalitarian rage. This is not Venezuela. Also, just a side note, this is why insane people on the left like to say that throwing bricks and milkshakes at people isn't violence. Real talk though, how is this on taxpayer-funded national TV?
I have a great answer for this that a lot of people do not like. I want patriarchy to fear feminism.
I'm sorry. You can't even make this up. This woman is like every single feminist stereotype ever rolled into a single person. And I ain't gonna lie, guys. I'm here for it.
And there is a chapter in my book on violence. There is a chapter on my book about white women who voted for Trump and white women who accept crumbs from patriarchy because they allow their whiteness to trump their gender.
As per usual, I do want you guys to watch the majority of these clips uninterrupted, but I just need to say this. I like to consider myself a reasonably intelligent individual, but I don't know if it's just me, but every time I listen to these academic feministy types, I feel like they just speak in flim-flam. I don't even know if that's a thing, but they speak flim-flam. So yeah, my point here is that this is a really long-winded way of saying absolutely nothing, and if you too are left feeling confused, so am I. Let's continue.
I'm fully aware of this. But at the end of the day, even those white women have to recognize that nothing protects them from patriarchy. Nothing. For me, as a feminist, the most important thing is to destroy patriarchy. And all of this talk about how if you talk about violence, you're just becoming like the men. My question, so your question is a really important one, but I'm going to answer it with another question. How long must we wait for men and boys to stop murdering us, to stop beating us, and to stop raping us? How many rapists must we kill? Not the state, because I disagree with the death penalty, and I want to get rid of incarceration, and I'm with you on the police. So I want women themselves. As a woman, I'm asking, how many rapists must we kill until men stop raping us?
Good God, just put me in the freezer, wake me up in 200 years. I'm done. This is exactly the kind of flim-flam that I'm talking about. So let's unpack it. So let me get this straight. This woman doesn't want other women to become violent like men. But murdering men is okay if they're rapists. But she doesn't want the state to do it, so then I guess some other buddy, like a mob, has to do it. I ain't gonna lie, that feels like a weird but unsurprising standard. She's also against the incarceration that keeps violent people who hurt women out of society, so I guess that just means that we can murder everyone? I'm finding this hard to follow. I don't know, I'm no expert here, but I feel like this is what happens to your cognitive abilities when you dye your hair a terrible red color, and it seeps into your brain.
Shut the f up!
Hey, what do you think of that answer? How do you feel about this?
I guess there's two things. One is there's a lot of smashing and destroying.
Yes.
But what's the alternative? So
The alternative
that's
is a
one thing.
world where I'm not raped and murdered.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Oh my goodness. I love how this guy's face is just like, what have I done?
The other thing is too, if you think about bullying, bullying begets bullies. So violence begets violence.
It's never the ideal. It's never the first thing to go to. But, you know, slave rebellions. I mean, there are many causes where people have resorted to violence as a way to finally break through and get heard and achieve what we need. And if that's what it takes, that's what it takes.
The thing that I patently don't understand about these women and women similar to them is, what are you trying to achieve? Which rights don't you have that you are currently fighting for? You're literally sitting on a panel entirely made up of women on national television spewing whatever garbage it is that you want to spew, and literally nobody is trying to stop you. You're peak feminism in action, and the funniest part is you're gonna sit there and tell us how hardumbai you are? Are you actually kidding me? Society isn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and there are still issues that affect both genders separately. But really, what is it exactly that you're going to achieve through violence? Please explain this to me. What is it that you want, supreme feminist overlords? Besides the heads of every man around you on spikes. I bet this is how the Hunger Games started.
Patriarchy, face.
Now this brings us to another clip from the same show that not only raised my eyebrows, but my blood pressure. Do you get it? That was a play on words. Move it along, Einstein. Okay.
Recently, there's been a lot of discussion of toxic masculinity and its impacts on society. But my question for the panel is, aren't the constraints of femininity and masculinity toxic in themselves? And what does positive masculinity look like?
Well, that's a great question there, friend. Probably something like this.
Mona?
No, I find it really fascinating that we've heard about so many instances of male violence against women, that real incidents, whether it's disabled women or women in domestic abuse of all forms of abilities. And yet when I talk about imaginary violence against men, everyone's like, oh my God, Mona wants us to kill men. And I'm just asking you to imagine a scenario that is the daily reality for women everywhere.
This is such a major feminist talking point. I don't know where it came from or when it started, but it's like they fail to realize that while yes, men are the majority perpetrators of violence, they're also the majority of victims as well. What? I know. Earth-shattering. This feminist talking point also conveniently forgets all the men who are domestic violence victims, who are sexual assault victims, who are rape victims, and the stories that go underreported or never reported because men don't feel safe in society or like anyone will take their issues seriously. Gee, Sydney, I wonder why that is. Fembots. You want to know why you have these asinine positions and opinions? Because nobody will talk about male issues. And you know, like also man-hating is completely socially acceptable.
I agree with you that yes, the gender binary is long overdue. Let's get rid of it. Fuck the gender binary, yes. But we are also talking about a society that socializes boys and men into believing that they are entitled to women's time, bodies, love, affection. In the United States, that has a direct impact into boys as young as 16 going into school and shooting to death half their class because a girl said no.
Ah yes, let's blame school shootings on toxic masculinity rather than fatherlessness or alcohol problems or mental health or the myriad of other reasons that people decide to go and commit mass murder.
So what would positive masculinity look like?
I have no idea.
Hannah.
You care.
Positive masculinity is an empowered woman.
Oh my god. I mean it when I say I want to be put in the freezer. Bring me the cryogenics. Bring me, I want to be Walt Disney. I want to be in the ground, maybe not in the ground. I want to be in a refrigerator somewhere. I'm done. Now, I'm not going to show you the rest of this clip, but I will just summarize what happens. A little bit more man-hating, and then one of the panelists talks about how positive masculinity does exist in men. But I mean, I guess that sentiment is kind of overshadowed by the fact that they're talking about murdering men and violence and what have you. I've seen so many discussions like this on Australian television about men over and over and over again. I've seen so many discussions like this internationally as well. And funnily enough, if a panel of men were to assemble and have a similar discussion to this one, it wouldn't go over so well, if at all, because it's 2019. And men don't get to have an opinion on anything. And it might just be me, but I find it plainly asinine to have a bunch of women on national TV discussing how they might orchestrate violence in order to achieve political ends, to defeat the patriarchy.
Patriarchy. Patriarchy. Patriarchy. Feminists hate patriarchy.
What is this and how do I make it stop? The weirdest thing about this panel discussion, besides everything, is that these ideas that they're spewing meet absolutely no resistance. There's no women or men on the panel who disagree with them. We call that an echo chamber. These ideas on national television have gone completely unchallenged. And if we're being truthful here, this way of thinking goes well beyond any and all levels of intelligent discourse and discussion. I don't know, color me crazy, but it seems sort of odd that we have women over here saying that men can't talk about female issues because they're not women and they don't understand the female experience, and yet we have entire panels of women talking about how men need to be softer and attacking their masculinity and calling it toxic. And apparently that's fine because it's fine when women do it. I don't know. What is this? The point is, this narrative is leaving men feeling persecuted and attacked. Even in a study from 2008, many men said they believe the world is now dominated by women and that they have lost their role in society, fueling feelings of depression and being undervalued. The research shows that just as women feel their work-life balance has been stretched to breaking point, men think they have too many roles to play. We ask men to be masculine sometimes when it counts, but softer most of the time. We ask them to provide, but also to make room for women and not step on women's toes. But then the room that they leave women to step into isn't big enough, so we ask them to step away. Then we tell them that they've stepped too far away and that they're no longer trying. And personally, I sit back and watch this and think, how in the hell is a man supposed to keep up? Real talk, I'm exhausted and I'm not even a guy. It's like running a marathon. A marathon of sads. And it's like somebody plonked Moby Dick in the middle of the road and you just can't get past. A more recent survey into this topic said that Republicans and moderates generally feel that society punishes men for acting like men, while liberals tend to strongly disagree with that sentiment. Ah, that is indeed interesting, and I'm not even remotely surprised. And need I remind everyone about the 2016 APA study that said that traditional masculinity leads to poorer mental health. But I see these sentiments again and again and again, which is why this ABC video is honestly nothing new. But as I've noted in several other videos that I've made about this topic, popularizing this way of thinking only exacerbates the issues that currently exist between the sexes. It doesn't fix anything, it doesn't ameliorate anything, it just fuels the divide. So no, positive masculinity is not an empowered woman. And if that's what people genuinely believe, men don't stand a chance in modern society. Now I open the floor to you. What do you all think? What do you make of these videos? What do you think of the topics discussed? And what do you think of this general sentiment towards men? As always, if you like the video, hit subscribe and the thumbs up button. If you want to leave a comment, feel free to do so. Just be respectful about it. And I will see you guys next time.